On September 14, 1920, candidates for the Commodores football team reported to Curry Field. There were expected to be some 50 men in uniform by week's end, though the university did not open until the 27th. The tackling dummy would be sent out by the end of the week. Former All-Southern end and captain of the 1913 Vanderbilt team Enoch Brown assisted Coach McGugin. Practice indicated Vanderbilt should have a decent backfield in the upcoming season. However, the line was expected to take a significant downturn, given the loss of All-Southern tackles Josh Cody and Tom Lipscomb. Cody coached Mercer in 1920. Ends Alfred T. Adams and Tom Zerfoss also ranked among the best in the South, and had played their last football at Vandy. In all, Vanderbilt expected to lose 7 players to graduation following the 1919 season, and therefore to have a 1920 squad built of many new faces. However, Vanderbilt still returned 17 lettermen. The season opened at Curry Field on October 2 with a 54-a circumflex 0 victory over the Birmingham Southern Panthers. The Panthers were coached by former Vanderbilt letterman Charles H. Brown. The Panthers entered the game without veteran lineman Bobber due to a broken collarbone. Center Dave Evans was also likely to sit out. The Commodores racked up 47 points in the first half on the backs of Berryhill, Gunn, Latham, and company. One touchdown was a 60-yard run from Griley Berryhill. Birmingham Southern's lone chance to score was off an interception in the third quarter, which got them to Vanderbilt's 10-yard line. The Commodores used substitutes throughout the second half. Captain and halfback of the Birmingham Southern team, Eddie Lewis, outpunted the Vanderbilt Commodores with punts averaging easily 50 yards, and punted well against good competition all season. Halfback Greek Griffin of the Panthers had played in his first game and had a fine outing. The starting lineup against Birmingham Southern: Neal, Buckner, Hendrick, Hill, Bailey, Neller, Baker, Latham, Berryhill, Mixon, Wade. Going into the game at Knoxville against the Tennessee Volunteers, it was thought the Commodores had quality and depth in its backfield, and should focus on the development of their linemen. Commodore scouts said the Volunteers had the best backfield in point of actual power that has graced the hill at Knoxville in many years. The Commodores were to expect a hard game against the university rivals. Tennessee had beaten Maryville 47-0 just the week before. The Volunteers were led by John R. Bender in his third year as head coach. The Commodores went on to upset the Volunteers by a score of 20-0. All 3 of Vandy's touchdowns were owed to passes from Jess Neely to Gink Hendrick. A long pass from Neely in the first quarter hit Hendrick, who ran the extra 25 yards needed for the score. Hendrick ran to the 4-yard line on a pass from Neely in the second quarter. The first half came to a close with the ball in Vanderbilt's possession at Tennessee's 1-foot line. Hendrick yet again caught another touchdown, this time a 30-yard pass from Neely, in the fourth quarter. With 5 minutes left to play, Tennessee opened up the passing game and Hendrick intercepted a pass, returning it 45 yards for the touchdown. Scott Teenale also had fine punts, of 45 to 60 yards. The starting lineup for the Tennessee game was the following: Neal, Hendrick, Buckner, Hill, Bailey, McCullough, Baker, Latham, Floyd, Neely, Wade. The third week of play brought one of the worst losses ever suffered at Dudley Field, to William Alexander's Georgia Tech Golden Tornado 44-0. It was the worst since North Carolina won 48-0 in 1900. Coach Alexander employed previous coach John Heisman's jump shift. Georgia Tech entered into the meat of its schedule after 3 dominating wins. Upcoming engagements with Vanderbilt, Pittsburgh, and Center were to determine the season's outcome. Pittsburgh and Center, but Glenn Pop Warner's Pittsburgh especially, were the biggest opponents. Vanderbilt was seen as the warm-up act to these two, for it was far superior to any of Tech's prior games. The first game of the year, to have direct implications for the Southern Championship, It was cited by some as the most interesting Southern contest of the week. Georgia Tech's Golden Tornado were clear favorites, emboldened by the supposed weakness of Vandy's line. 1+ for Vanderbilt was the return of Frank Gore, the team's best punter.